WRAL weather alert day due to the chance of severe storms. I'll show you how strong the storms will be and when they could arrive.
Watching the water today, we'll get new information about our rising lake levels, how recent rain is affecting the ongoing drought.
Push for answers. Questions abound about why UNC football GM Michael Lombardi is on administrative leave, where the situation stands days before the Tar Heels return to the athletic field. Missing mom. Family and friends are banding together after a caring woman vanished while on a Caribbean vacation. How the community is showing support for her safe return. So much to get into here on this Tuesday morning as we see just a glimmer of color there on the horizon. Good morning, everyone. I'm Renee Chu.
And I'm Chris Lovingood. Yes, one thing they're tracking, though, the WRAL weather alert day. When is our next best chance to see some rainfall in our area? Elizabeth has been tracking that along with the next weather maker.
So this is going to be a complicated situation. We have a cold front that's starting to drop out of the Midwest. This one did a lot of damage across parts of the Midwest. Right now in the Ohio Valley, we're starting to see some showers and storms. That drops over us by lunchtime. So don't forget your umbrella. It's dry this morning, but keep it handy if you have to be out around lunchtime. And then the question is, does this front send us a second round? Yesterday, it looked like yes. Today, all of our high resolution models are showing that it just doesn't look as likely. That first round of rain could settle the atmosphere, and it doesn't leave us a very good environment for severe storms, which is definitely good news. But if we did, it would be a level 2 risk. Wind damage being our biggest threat, and around 4 to 8 o'clock would be the chance of seeing that severe weather. But again, don't forget, we will have some rain around lunchtime, and that may pretty much squash our potential for severe storms later in the day. This morning, we're seeing a little bit of cloud cover lingering. 73 is our temperature as we take a look over downtown Raleigh, and it is likely to be a fairly hot day with a high around 90. We'll talk about how much rain we could see today and the rest of the week in just a little bit. Ken?
Well, Elizabeth, at 6:01, let's start with this live look as you plot your morning commute of I-40 and Aviation Parkway. Traffic beginning to pick up just a little bit, but flowing at a nice steady clip in all directions. So if you're getting ready to head out the door right now, all of our major routes into Raleigh delay-free, whether you're coming from Wake Forest, Knightdale, the Gardner-Johnson County area, all delay-free. You're getting ready to head into the car. Tune us in on the radio, 101.5 HD3.
Laura Levine here in the WRAL Live Center right now. Today, we can learn new information in the desperate search for a Cary woman who disappeared in Grenada. Grenada authorities announced today that they will hold a press conference at 10 a.m. Of course, we're talking about Liz Waddell here from Cary. She vanished while vacationing on the Caribbean island with a friend. She was last seen on camera footage from a bar and grill while swimming at a nearby beach last Wednesday. Police are now asking fishermen, boat operators, and others to help look for her. We also know that Waddell is well known in Cary as a physical therapist and fitness instructor. Right now, her husband and daughter are in Grenada also helping in those search efforts. Of course, you can count on WRAL to be following the latest updates at that 10 a.m. The 10 a.m. press briefing will also be available on the Grenada's police force Facebook and YouTube pages.
All right, thank you for that update, Laura. I-885 North in Durham reopened this morning after it was closed for hours overnight. Durham police say that a car hit and killed a person around 10:30 last night. The crash happened between Holloway Street and Cheek Road in Durham, and the road reopened just after 4:30 this morning. And so now we're trying to find out more about the victim and the driver.
Today, we'll get an update about how all this recent rain is affecting our drought. The U.S. Army Corps of Engineers will release new numbers on the water levels at Falls Lake. That's where we find WRAL's Kelsey Coffey joining us live this morning. Kelsey, we've seen nearly 5 inches of rain in the last week.
Yes, Renee, and that's definitely some good news, but we still have quite a way to go. At the last reading, the water level here at Falls Lake is still 5 feet below where it should be, and this morning's update should help us see how recent rain has affected the drought. Now, last week's update showed our water supply had risen to 66%. We told you there's been nearly 5 inches of rain in the last week, and this has been the 4th wettest July ever recorded in Raleigh. We've had more rain this month than in the last 5 months combined. The latest drought report released last week shows our drought conditions are improving. The level of extreme drought went down from 39% to 29%. So that update on the water level here at Falls Lake is expected to be released this morning at 9 o'clock. Kelsey Coffey, WRAL News, live at Falls Lake.
Well, there is uncertainty in Chapel Hill about the Tar Heels football program because many people want to know why the team's general manager, Michael Lombardi, was placed on leave effective immediately.
WRAL's Ali Calabar is live at UNC Chapel Hill right now. Ali, we are working to answer those questions as the start of fall practice is just days away.
And the start of the football season is just over a month away. Now, On3 Media reports Lombardi's leave announcement stems from unspecified HR complaint. We are still working to confirm that. Now, in a statement released yesterday morning, UNC says Lombardi was placed on paid administrative leave. That statement says it's standard procedure with personnel matters that leadership, staff, and student athletes are prohibited from addressing this topic further. WRAL sports investigative reporter Brian Murphy says this shouldn't have an impact on the field this season.
I think the bigger picture is less what it means for UNC on the field in 2026 and more, this is another off the field misstep by this program, which has been filled with off the field missteps since Bill Belichick was hired and he made Mike Lombardi his first hire.
In Carolina football, whether Lombardi was placed on leave related to an investigation and if there was any indication of how long his leave may last. We also asked, with football season coming up, whether there is any plan for an interim general manager. In response to our questions, UNC directed us back to their original statement, which basically said it's a personnel matter and they will not discuss it. UNC will open its second fall practice under Belichick on Thursday, and they will also have media availability. WRAL will be there. Reporting live in Chapel Hill, Ali Calabar, WRAL News.
Well, there are new concerns and frustrations over the proposed merger between WakeMed and Atrium Health. Hundreds of people gathered at St. Ambrose Episcopal Church to share their thoughts in a town hall. WakeMed management was there too, but they weren't the ones hosting this event. No, the town hall was put on by groups concerned about this deal. And among the demands from the people who organized the event, to be allowed to see the full deal between the two hospital systems. WakeMed CEO Donald Gensig said that won't be possible.
It's a private agreement between WakeMed, a separate private entity. It's got competitive information in it.
Our lives are worth more than some deal that they're making in the back room.
And so WakeMed continues to argue this deal will allow them to remain a healthy, competitive hospital far into the future. And Wake County commissioners have not decided when they plan to take a vote on this deal.
Former FBI Director James Comey wants a judge to throw out the federal charges against him. Comey is accused of threatening President Donald Trump after he posted a photo of seashells on a North Carolina beach formed to say 8647. Comey says the photo was not a call to violence against President Trump. The request for dismissal argues that the social media post is protected political speech. The Justice Department has until August 18th to respond. If the case survives legal challenges, it would go to trial in October.
Today, state lawmakers in the Senate will begin debating sweeping changes to the state's elections. And one proposed change introduces more secrecy into who's funding political campaigns. This would allow more campaign contributions to stay anonymous. Other changes would create new types of post-election audits and change the rules for challenging the validity of people's ballots. You can catch our NC Capitol team's coverage of this bill on WRAL.com.
Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu will be in Washington, D.C. today to meet with President Trump. This is the first time the two leaders have met since the war in Iran began back in February. This also comes on the heels of a pause in fighting over the weekend. Netanyahu plans to attend the funeral for Senator Lindsey Graham today. Graham was a strong supporter of Israel. Taking a quick look at gas prices this morning from AAA, the average for a gallon of gas in Raleigh is $3.81. It's a little more expensive in Durham and Chapel Hill, averaging at $3.85. In Rocky Mount, gas is averaging $3.71 a gallon. Oil prices have been sliding after the pause in fighting between the U.S. and Iran. Brent crude finished 11% yesterday from where it was from Sunday. Gas prices may be holding steady at the moment, but they are still up from where they were a few weeks ago. Patrick DeHaan from Gas Buddy says that's a trend nationally and in North Carolina.
North Carolina does tend to be a bit cheaper than the national average, but prices are still going up very similar in North Carolina compared to what we're seeing nationally.
The average for a gallon of gas across North Carolina is $3.79. That is up 26 cents from a month ago.
Intense rescue. A lifeguard acted quickly after a boy got caught in rough water. The team effort to get him to safety.
Preparing for the worst. Training is underway along North Carolina's coast. How the Army Corps of Engineers is staying prepared for the next hurricane.
And our next weather maker is likely to send us 2 rounds of rain. I'll show you why round 2 may not materialize coming up.
Stay safe with the latest WRAL Weather Alert Day info. Get up to the minute weather and traffic conditions when you get in your car. In Raleigh on 99.3 FM, in Durham 96.5 FM, and everywhere on 101.5 HD3.
6:13, our next weather maker. Look at this front producing this rain here in Ohio, getting ready to move across West Virginia. That brings us rain by lunchtime, and it may settle the atmosphere so much that we don't end up with a lot of severe storms. We're kind of watching how all that will develop as we get through the day. But don't forget, we're going to start to see that rain by lunchtime into the early part of the afternoon. If we see severe storms, it would be later on in the afternoon, late afternoon into the evening. Wind damage would be our biggest threat, and there could be a chance of tornadoes and a low risk for some large hail. It's a level 2 risk, and coming up in just a few minutes, meteorologist Chris Michaels is going to talk about our different levels of severe threat and what they mean. Ken?
Elizabeth, weather and traffic every 10 minutes, so let's check some secondary routes, particularly our friends in Holly Springs, Fuquay Arena. You're coming in on 401, all those routes delay-free. Also, if you're coming in from the Garner area, I-40, Highway 70, 401, all delay-free at this hour. You're getting ready to head into the car, though. Tune us in on the radio, 101.5 HD3. We'll keep you updated all morning long.
Okay, so check out this video right here. It shows the intense moments lifeguards jumped into rough waters in order to save that boy. This happened in Santa Cruz, California over the weekend. And the person who took this video says the water became more turbulent and the boy was overpowered by the waves. A lifeguard and other people at the beach rushed in to help, and a second lifeguard was even able to help get the boy safely to shore. That was one of about 24 rescues on Saturday in Santa Cruz County. And then check out this video right here. It's also from California, but this time a plane made an emergency landing at Huntington Beach. The pilot says everything was fine before he took off from a nearby airport, but his engine failed as he got into the air. Goodness. Well, he had to act quickly and find a place to land, and despite all of this, no one was injured.
Savannah Guthrie released an emotional new video in the search for her 84-year-old mother. The Today host shared what she called a very specific message with her followers on Instagram.
And I know that you have tried to do things the right way. So I'm asking you, begging you to do the right thing now. Make the right choice. Help us find her. Tell us where to look for her.
Nancy Guthrie was reported missing nearly 6 months ago. Multiple rewards are being offered in the search for her. The U.S. Army Corps of Engineers is training to respond to any storm that hits this hurricane season. It is a joint effort between the state, FEMA, and a local applicant. They are working to gather information for disaster management purposes. The information helps the government decide whether federal assistance should be requested. It also chooses the basis for a disaster declaration.
The team is learning how to do assessments post landfall of a storm of what they need to look for if the coast is impacted by any tropical event.
Officials say the real test is when the next storm hits, when those assessments help guide recovery decisions.
So July has brought much needed rainfall, right? But it's also brought us severe weather. And most days this month have been outlooked for severe storms. Let's bring in meteorologist Chris Michaels because he dove into this data to see how often these severe risks have verified.
Yeah, and we're talking about the severe risks that are issued by NOAA's Storm Prediction Center out of Oklahoma. And you can see that there's the level 1 and the level 2. That's what we've seen all the month of July. Level 1 means that severe thunderstorms would be isolated, whereas level 2 means that there's a little bit more of an elevated threat like we see out there today. Looking through the month of July, 18 of the 28 days have been outlooked for severe weather by NOAA's Storm Prediction Center. So I wanted to see the 9 days in which there's that yellow, that level 2 risk. In those 9 days, there have been nearly 160 storm reports. That's an average of 18 per day. 3 of those 9 level 2 risk days, however, produced no damage. And there's a caveat to today's risk. There is absolutely a potential between about 4 p.m. and 8 p.m. However, if we see some midday showers, that could cool things off enough to where it limits the severe weather chance, and we maybe don't see as many reports heading later in the day. And Elizabeth, hoping for that because what we've seen in states like Wisconsin has been pretty brutal.
It really has. Boy, they really took a big hit yesterday. This cold front moved across parts of the Midwest, especially up around Chicago yesterday. And you can see the damage as it was happening from this dash camera. This is Appleton, Wisconsin. And you can see power lines falling. You can see the power poles falling, trees being damaged. And there were tornadoes in the area that destroyed businesses and homes. Look at that tree just being shredded there. I mean, I can't imagine how scary it would be to be driving with that happening. As a matter of fact, I would urge you, if you ever were in that situation, just stop and try to find a safer place. But right now, that cold front is shifting eastward. And here's what the front is doing now. It's producing a line of thunderstorms moving out of Ohio into West Virginia, and it will arrive here later on today. It is not, that first round is not the threat for severe storms. So that's going to happen around lunchtime. But if that ends up moving through and stabilizing the atmosphere, we will have a much lower chance for severe storms. But for now, it is a level 2 risk, and Chris was describing what that means. The timeline would be late afternoon and evening, but we'll be watching very closely for that rain that we end up seeing. So we're going to start here. We're going to follow it from Ohio through West Virginia and then down into North Carolina between noon and 2 o'clock. And then this version of Futurecast does show at around 8 to 11 another round of some showers and thunderstorms. So we're not completely discounting it, but we'll be watching closely. Here's Futurecast again, the close-up view. From noon to around 2, we're seeing those showers, and then potentially around 7 or 8, we see that second round that develops. Weather alert day, of course, wind damage, biggest threat. We have an isolated chance for tornadoes. Hail and flooding are less likely. This is going to be a fairly fast-moving system, so we may not have a whole lot of flooding. If we see tornadoes, you can see that tornado risk there is in brown. It does cover most of our viewing area, and that rain chance for today is at about 60%. After that, we're pretty dry up until Sunday. An average of 1/4 to 1/2 inch over the next 7 days, so not as much rain as we've seen so far this month. 5 inches this month, so this one doesn't look like we're going to see those big rainfall totals at 1 to 2 inches. We are likely to see a nice drop in humidity, especially toward the end of the week. We'll take a closer look at what happens behind the front coming up. Ken?
Well, Elizabeth, happening now at 6:20. Really a quiet start to your morning commute as we take a live look at I-440 and Wade Avenue traffic and all these major routes, and that interchange flowing a nice steady clip. And that's what we're seeing on all of our major routes heading into Raleigh this morning. You're coming in from the Durham Chapel Hill area on I-40 eastbound. You're coming on US 1 coming out of Wake Forest. Even I-87 out of Knightdale delay-free right now. You're getting ready to head into the car, though. Tune us in on the radio, 101.5 HD3.
Thanks, Ken. Tipping culture. What is the right amount for customers to tip? Live on Your Side explains what you should consider before your next restaurant visit.
Plus, concert commotion. Noah Khan fans reported being stuck at Carter Finley Stadium for hours after the concert was over. The problems they faced while trying to get a rideshare home. Well, NC State is investigating how to better handle concert traffic at Carter Finley Stadium. And this is because fans complained about waiting hours for rideshares after the sold-out Noah Khan concert. Now, we've seen posts on social media from people saying they knew it was a sold-out show, and that's why they scheduled a rideshare in advance and even left early, but still had problems. And fans reported waiting hours to get a rideshare confirmed after multiple cancellations. And that led to people walking long distances on the busy roadways, trying to get away from the concert traffic and get a ride more easily. We talked with Peter Rowe, and he said at one point he witnessed drivers only offering cash rides or setting sky-high prices to take advantage of people waiting.
Things truly weren't functioning as intended. And if you say you have a rideshare system, I don't think it's unfair for people to be able to expect to use it, even if they expect long lines. But there's a difference between having to wait and it being so broken that it puts people in a bad situation.
NC State did have a designated area for rideshare users, but some fans said the roads leading to the area were blocked off, and that prevented drivers from getting to their passengers. NC State says they're going to do a post-concert review to find out what went well and where they need to make improvements.
This What's Trending report is sponsored by Call Dad AC and Heating.
It was a zoo at the Detroit Tigers game last night, and we are counting down to season 4 of Ted Lasso.
To talk about it this morning, we have Ken Smith and What's Trending.
So let's start on the diamond. Detroit Tigers game last night, boy, had a few unexpected moments on the field. The game was delayed nearly 15 minutes after a squirrel got onto the field, and then a bird was later spotted as well. But the highlight of the night came when the entire Tigers ground crew started chasing that squirrel.
And hops through the towel, and hops through another towel. The force field is activated. Towels can't stop him, or maybe they can.
Love the play-by-play.
Yeah, fans needed that comic relief because the Tigers ended up losing the game to the Orioles 8-5. I think I saw a pigeon in there too, so yeah, zoo was definitely the right word to start this sentence off.
100%.
Yeah. Look, it took like 20 of them to corral that squirrel, and afterwards the umpire had asked the whole stadium to give the grounds crew a round of applause. That was team effort.
I love that. Here's what you're going to love. Season 4 of Ted Lasso almost here. The cast of the hit Apple TV series attended the red carpet premiere last Sunday in Los Angeles. Much of the gang is back for a new season with a new team.
Lasso will be coaching a women's football team back in Richmond Green in London. This new season premieres on Apple TV next Wednesday.
Gotta believe.
Looking forward to it.
Thanks, Ken. Tar Heel turmoil. UNC football GM Michael Lombardi has been placed on administrative leave. The questions we're asking from UNC about the decision.
And missing in Grenada. The search for a Carey woman enters its 6th day. What we know this morning as her husband and daughter join that search.
And today's a WRAL Weather Alert Day. Our next weather maker producing some thunderstorms moving into West Virginia that will likely arrive here by noon. And then there's round 2. I'll show you what to expect.